Nigeria's economy has seen mixed results in 2023, with some sectors experiencing growth while others face challenges. The country's GDP grew by 2.5% in the first quarter of the year, largely driven by the oil and gas sector. However, inflation remains a major concern, with the rate reaching a 5-year high of 20.5 in January. Unemployment also remains high, with more than 23% of the population out of work. One major factor is the depreciation of the naira, which has made imported goods more expensive. Another cause is the country's dependence on oil revenues, which have been volatile in recent years. This has made it difficult for the government to maintain a stable currency and control inflation. And to talk about these, I've been joined live on the news by Okpeoluwa Taiwo, Economic Analyst and Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me.
Thank you for having me today.
All right. How would you describe the current state of the Nigerian economy?
All right. So for Nigeria economy in 2023, we've been seeing a lot of ups and downs, talking about the inflation rates going to 20% plus, talking about the unemployment, talking about the consumer price index going high every day. And when we look at the unemployment rate, we can see that we've moved far and higher instead of going far low. And this has been as a result of too many factors. And one of the major factors we must look at the high dependency on the oil revenue. We have to look for a way to move away from the oil revenue, because the whole world is now moving away from the oil sector, and the vision and the target of the world market is moving away. So if we are still depending on the oil revenue, then the economy is not yet sustainable. But I believe that what we have seen in the intentionality of the new government of Nigeria, looking at the local natural gas and having the compressed natural gas for us to use as alternative energy. And it's a good alternative for Nigeria, but how sustainable it is another discussion entirely. But we must also look at why do we have continuous inflation hike.
Okay, before we get to that point, let me find out from you, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing the Nigerian economy as it's now?
As of today, two major challenges. Number one, the inflation. The inflation is too high. When inflation is high, and why is inflation high? Simple put, the cost of production is very high. Why is the cost of production very high? High dependency on foreign markets. It's as simple as that. We're depending too much on importation. So we need to look more inward. So we're depending too much of importing the electronics, importing the FMCGs, talking about the consumer food and the rest. So when we look at it, that challenge of the inflation can go down. It's possible it can go down. So apart from inflation, we also look at the unemployment. And why are we talking about the unemployment? Because the Nigerian market is not yet sustainable as it's supposed to be. And we are having graduates churning out of our tertiary institutions yearly. More than 200,000 ready to market graduates churning out of institutions every year, and the market is not available. So we can see that unemployment is to me a danger. We must break it down as soon as possible.
Okay, Okpeoluwa, do you think the government's economic policies are aligned with the needs of the country?
Yeah, as of 2023, the federal government economic policy and the earnings of the people, for me, is actually a parallel line. It's not meeting yet. It's not meeting yet, because what the government is positing is somehow different from what is the request of the people. The people want good road. The people want security. If there's no security, the farm produce cannot come out, because the farmers are scared of going back to the farm. The farmers are scared of staying longer hour in the farm. And also, we must also understand that the market is also not friendly for the farmers as well, because the farmers need off-takers, and they're not getting off-takers through the government. So the government must come on board to also assist the farmers. It's not enough to give fertilizer to the farmer. That's not enough. When you give fertilizer to a farmer whose farm is not secured, the fertilizer is not useful.
Okay.
If you give a fertilizer to a farmer who doesn't have an off-taker, when he produces, an average buyer comes to buy at a very poor price, and the farmer will be discouraged to go back to the farm. So it's not sustainable. So the government must come on board.
Also, Mr. Taiwo, let's talk solutions now. What measures do you think the Nigerian government, should take in addressing the current country's high inflation?
All right. So for the economy, number one, the cost of production. Let's break the cost of production. How do we break the cost of production? Number one, let's reduce importation. Our importation rate must be reduced drastically. The cost of production is still high, and the solution is that when we bring out the cost of production, then the inflation rate will come down. How do we break down the cost of production? Let's secure the business environment for the SMEs. Let's secure the business environment, both the internal and the external. Also, we need to look for a way around to give baits into the SMEs. Let's give some tax rebate to the SMEs. Let's give some concession to the SMEs. When the SMEs are smiling within the economic environment, the average consumer can also smile. So we can see that there's a way we can break this inflation rate. When we break the inflation rate, the average man on the street will smile. Also, look at the cost of transportation, which is very key to our economy. Cost of transportation is something the government must look into immediately. If the cost of production is high, then we can tackle it through the cost of transportation. Moving from the rural area, talking about the farming, moving the goods from the rural area into the city, moving our goods and services, that is from one end to another end. That process must be seamless. That cost of transportation must be broken immediately.
Okay, just to interject there, Mr. Okpoluwa, you talked about a number of solutions, talking about breaking the cost of production, giving tax rebates, and also cost of transportation. But do you think the Central Bank of Nigeria's monetary policies have been so far effective in controlling inflation?
Yeah, the CBN monetary policy is still a bit away, far away from the people. And the CBN must understand that going forward in the 21st century, it's not just sitting down and bringing out policy. Why is the policy? And who owns the policy? The people own the policy, not the CBN. The job of the CBN is to come together to bring out the policy. But who owns the policy? Who is the policy meant for? The policy is meant for the people. So if the monetary policy, look at the lending rate. Our lending rate is very high. And that is killing the SMEs. If the lending rates are high, the SMEs cannot be robust in the economy. So the monetary policy must take notes. Take note of the environment. When the monetary policy is going high and the environment is not sustainable, the SME will suffer and every man will suffer. So the CBN must also invite the stakeholders, talking about the critical stakeholders, that means the SMEs, invite them on board to impute their own way of having a robust and sustainable economy going forward.
Permit me to interject, Okpoluwa. Let's talk about Nigeria's current reality, which is insecurity. Do you think the ongoing insecurity in Nigeria is in any way affecting inflation?
Yes, so for the economy, talking about the security challenge in the northeast, in the south, especially even recently in the east, that's why we can see that the eastern leaders coming together to look for the peace initiative. And what do we have? We are having a security challenge that we can control. But for now, it's looking uncontrollable. For me, it's actually controllable. We need to look beyond the military. Let's bring on board the traditional rulers. The traditional rulers must come on board and assist the military intelligence to gather adequate information in order to curb the security. This security challenge is affecting the SME. It's affecting the farmer, especially the farmer. The security challenge is affecting them. So if we can cushion that effect of the security, the SME can have a free market to operate. So the security challenge is affecting the economy, but we can also find a way around to beat down the security challenge, and that has to do with the military and the traditional rulers coming on board on the same table and finding a lasting solution beyond the normal nuclear weapon and the ammunition that we have been purchasing all this while, which has been affecting our budget. So let's go the traditional way, and we can get the security.
Now, talking about budgets and inflation and finance, revenue for Nigeria, do you foresee the likelihood of Nigeria entering a recession come 2024? And what do you think could be the potential consequences?
Yeah, coming 2024, we might not go on recession. We might not go on recession because, you know, economic projection and forecasting is not just ordinary theory. There are figures you must look at. There are cushion effects that you must look at. There are various variables that are involved for you to look at the economy. You look at the environment. You look at the foreign direct investment. Now, as at now, some companies are leaving the country. That's understandable. On the other way, we are having so many investors coming on a daily basis into Nigeria. And that is something that will make a robust economy coming year 2024. So I'm not seeing a recession in 2024. I'm seeing the first quarter of the year might be a bit tough as usual. But after the first quarter, when the investors are more balanced within our economy, we're going to have a robust economy 2024. That is one thing I can assure Nigerians. So we are looking forward to a positive economic outlook in the year 2024. I mean from the second quarter, not from the first quarter of the year 2024.
And that's a fine place to wrap it up. Thank you so much for your time and company on the news. Okpeoluwa Taiwo, Economic Analyst and Executive Director, Africa Bridge Initiative. Thank you once again.
Good to be here today.